Hello, hello, hello. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Um, I am live talking to you about pivot secrets that no one is talking about. I've been sitting here with my camera on, and then, of course, right before I went to go live, the app says my camera has been disconnected. So, we're just going to roll with it this morning. The show must go on. But if you don't know me, my name is Ibiami Balogan, and I am the founder of Foot in the Door Consulting. My focus is really helping folks that are looking to make career transitions make that transition in the most seamless way possible. So I've been going live every week for the last couple weeks, talking about different things in the career transition process. And I'm hoping that, this could be a really good guide for you. So let's get started. Pivot secrets. What is that? What are we talking about today? What are the secrets that nobody is talking about when it comes to pivoting your career? Um, I think one thing that I've been having a lot of conversations with clients about is this idea of creating your own opportunity, right? I think a lot of the times we're looking to pivot into a new industry, right? Our first thought is, let me go back to school. I shared yesterday on my LinkedIn, don't necessarily have to go back to school, right? You don't necessarily have to take that certification. You don't necessarily have to sink thousands of dollars into getting a third master's degree. And you might be thinking, maybe, you're exaggerating it a bit. I literally was speaking to a potential client the other day who already has 2 master's degrees and is thinking about getting a third because she's trying to pivot. You don't necessarily have to do that. What you can do is you can get experience in the work that you're looking to do. So now you're probably asking, well, Ibiami, how does that work? How am I going to get experience in an area that I don't know about? And if I'm looking for a job, isn't that what the experience is for? Yes and no, right? In 2024, we have a very robust marketplace for your skill sets and for your opportunities, right? And it's really, really important to create your own opportunity, right? I was speaking to a client the other day, and she's been looking. She's been looking for 7 months, right? Not able to land anything. The job market is absolutely brutal, right? We all know this. And she's an HR professional. So I said to her, why don't you just sell your services as an HR consultant, like an independent consultant? And she's like, well, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I'm like, that's fair, right? Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. But right in this moment, you have not been able to secure a job in the last 7 months. So what do you have to lose? If you were to take one extra project on and someone was to pay you $2,000 or $3,000 for that project, isn't that an opportunity to kind of continue building your skill sets, getting a little bit of money while you're still in the search process? And she's like, yeah, I kind of understand what you mean, but I'm still not ready. I don't think that I want to make all the decisions. When you're an entrepreneur or an independent consultant, you have to make the decisions, right? The buck stops with you. And I said to her, I was like, well, isn't that what you are selling to employers? That you're going to be able to make decisions for them and walk through the entire process? And she's like, yeah, but it's different. I was like, okay, how do you expect an employer to hire you if you don't even want to hire yourself? Right? And she was kind of like, oh, you know what? You have a point. Um, Getting experience, yes, getting a job will give you the experience to pivot, but sometimes you have to create your own, right? And it's not as difficult as you think, right? If you are a business professional, you're looking to transition to another type of role, maybe in a new industry or maybe in a new functional level, and you're not sure, how to get into that space, you can quite simply spend some time on ChatGPT and identify some service offerings that you can provide to someone that will buy your services, right? So you put into ChatGPT, hey, I'm an X professional looking to transition to X role, trying to build up my skills. What kind of services can I offer to a potential client um, that'll allow me to build my skill, but I can also make a little bit of money outside? And ChatGPT will give you a few options, and then you flesh out those offerings, and then you go onto the market, right? I know a lot of people are nervous about LinkedIn and posting themselves online and asking people to pay them for their business and things of that nature. But there's many different services where you are getting direct leads, right? There is a great platform called bark.com, where service providers and people looking for services are partnered. You pay, I think it's 50 to $100, and you get 10 to 15 potential leads in your specific niche, and you can have that conversation and sign those clients. LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn has a services option. You can turn it on and people can reach out to you and book your services, right? You don't have to wait for an employer to give you the chance to showcase what you can do, right? So that's something that I think, a lot of people are talking about monetizing your expertise, and they're talking about it from a perspective of growing your business, but not necessarily from a perspective of pivoting into that specific space. And it allows you to build up your confidence as well, so that when you're going into your interviews, you're not just kind of theoretically saying you can do something, you're actually saying, no, I've done it before, right? I remember when I was a recruiter and I really wanted to transition into becoming a career coach. Well, that's what I started doing. I literally just started coaching people. I would sit on the phone after work and talk to people and say, hey, you showed up for this interview today. You're likely not going to get the job, but let me tell you what you did wrong. And here's how to edit it, and here's how to work it through. And I did that for many years. I did that for about 2 years before I ever got a full-time career coaching job. But by the time I was interviewing for that career coaching job, I could say I have 2 years of experience coaching people, right? I initially did it for free and then I started charging people, but it's still an opportunity. So that's definitely something I want you to think of. I have another client who, has a market research background and really looking to kind of switch into a more strategic role within a marketing function. She unfortunately got laid off. And she was like, I don't know what to do with BME. I don't know how to transition into the strategy role. I thought I was going to be able to do it internally. And then I got laid off and I feel just discouraged. And I was like, okay, cool. What do you want to do? Marketing consulting. Do you have any friends right now that are running businesses that you can consult on their marketing? And she was like, yes, I do. But like, I'd be so nervous. I was like, well, if this is your friend, right, they're able to take a chance on you. So funny enough, she was my friend and I asked her to help me with some marketing, and I paid her for her services, and she was able to leverage that experience into a full-time role. So it's a thing that happens, and it honestly didn't even take that long, right? So she reached out to me in March. We had the conversation. She got laid off in about April or May. And then she, did a bit of work for me in June and July. And then by September, she was able to transition into something else, right? So don't look at it as, I can't do it. I can't start my own thing. You can 100% start your own thing. And it doesn't have to be forever, right? Next, I want to talk about joining a community group. This is a pivot secret that nobody is talking about. How do you join? How do you pivot into a new industry if you don't know anybody in that industry? Well, you can join a community group, right? I'll give you a very specific example, like a personal one. I remember there was a time that I wanted to pivot into tech sales. Yes, it was 2022 and everybody was pivoting into sales or into tech, sorry. And I really just wanted to jump on the bandwagon. I know. Very unlike me, but I was sucked in and I really wanted to jump onto the bandwagon. People in tech were making a lot of money at the time. They had a lot of flexibility in their career and all the different things. And using the same kind of advice, I sat down and started researching different communities of people in tech sales. And I found one called Sisters in Sales. It was specifically for Black women in B2B SaaS sales. So it's very specific. And they had like a summit every year. They had like, quarterly meetings and group sessions and things of that nature. So I signed up for that group. And through just being in that group, attending events, I learned, first of all, a lot about the industry, right? The kind of curtain was lifted. It wasn't just the stuff that you see on YouTube where people were like, yes, pivot into this space. People were telling us the truth of what it was like to be on the other side. I remember one of the women in the group was talking about how she ended up closing a really big year and was able to make $500,000, which was like, oh my goodness, in bonus. So it wasn't part of her base. 500K was the bonus. But that year she spent a couple months in the emergency room or in the ICU because of the health implications of that. So it was like I was getting the real of what it was like to be on the other side of that opportunity. I was a budding salesperson myself, so I was asking questions about how do you use analytics to really drive your sale home. And two of the women reached out to me on LinkedIn saying, hey, here's my playbook. I'll walk you through exactly what that looks like. And they walked me through exactly how to sell with analytics. Like, this group was really kind of teaching me how to transition into this new space that I just didn't have the experience for. They also had partnerships, which was another great opportunity. They had partnerships with, all of the large tech companies, and they were able to secure us like informational interviews, coffee chats, interviews with all of these large tech companies. I remember that year, I probably had conversations with Twitter and TikTok and LinkedIn and Salesforce. Again, no tech sales experience, just by joining this one group, right? So I think a lot of people are forgetting about the people that can help you in your pivot that are not necessarily in your industry and the community group there. Those are the two big ones that I wanted to highlight today, this morning. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take them. But essentially, you have to get creative, right? When you're looking to pivot from one industry into a new industry, from one role into a new role, from one country into another country, like, you really have to get creative. The same way that you job search, the job search that you currently have when you're kind of just going up the ladder is very different from when you're going, when you're making a pivot and making a significant change. There's a lot of uncertainty, so you need to talk to a lot more people. You need to have more conversations. You need to engage in, creative ways of showcasing your skill sets, of building up those skill sets and building up that confidence, because you can pivot, right? It doesn't involve you going back and, incurring debt and getting that third degree or that third certification. You can, do it in a very strategic way. That being said, I am going to be hosting a webinar in about 2 weeks, specifically on how to pivot like a pro. So we're going to be going into some of these details that I've just mentioned, highlighted, high level. We're going to be going into it more strategically so that you are able to get some value out of it. So I'm going to put the link in the chat after the LinkedIn Live is done. For, if anyone that wants to pivot like a pro and wants to, learn a little bit more about how to do this, I'm definitely going to be hosting a free private training for this. We're definitely going to be capped, so please make sure to sign up ASAP, and I will see you in about 2 weeks. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bye-bye.